You're listening to the John and Heidi Show. Now, featuring the wit and wisdom of Dan Farris.
Okay, dudes, let's walk this sucker.
On Sunny 93.3.
Sunny 93.3. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show bonus hour with Dan Farris. Good morning, Dan.
Hey, John and Heidi, how are you?
It's Tuesday. How could it be anything but awesome, right? We get not just one senile old man. We get two today. So we got Tuesdays with Charlie and Dan.
Wow. You know, I have had the honor of meeting Charlie. And,
He's funny.
And I can literally envision me and Charlie sitting on like a 3-season porch somewhere.
Yeah.
A couple of nice chairs.
Cozy ones.
And just waiting for kids to walk on the lawn. Just, in fact, setting up little baits and traps for them.
Yeah, you guys would have a
Put
blast.
a bouncy ball in there so they have a reason to walk on the lawn.
Just so we can in unison go, hey! Get off my lawn!
I can see that.
Yeah.
We can arrange that this
That's
summer.
what we do. But of course, my retirement plan involves sitting on a park bench throwing rocks at ducks. So it's not like I have real lofty goals.
You're trying to kill me over there.
And rocks are free.
Oh,
Rocks
You don't even
are-
need a budget
That's
for
funny.
that.
It's true.
there was a guy. I only wish that I was kidding. He was a client of mine in Nebraska, and he had a landscaping company. And during a parade in Norfolk, Nebraska, he was throwing rocks at kids. He had landscaping rocks.
Yes.
And everybody else was throwing candy, and he just took a bucket and filled it with landscaping rocks. And there's like kids, he's literally throwing rocks at them.
Fantastic.
Isn't that great?
And he was
How old is this guy?
he was a Vietnam veteran. He was I love the guy. He was awesome.
Hang with me and Charlie.
He was
anytime.
awesome. And he and I had so much fun. But I was like,
No, that's funny.
I'm like, you're not helping your business anymore. You're throwing rocks at children.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yes.
Let's not do that next time. So.
But out of all the floats and all the people throwing candy,
He's the only one
you
we're still
remember.
talking about.
He's the only one throwing rocks at kids. So I don't know how many other people have thought of that idea for a marketing plan.
Speaking of old guys, we're going to be talking a little bit about Rolling Stone and Master of the Universe Keith Richards.
Oh,
later
yeah.
on this morning. Very cool story about him.
Nice. We also have manly men doing manly things. That's on the way. Water cooler talk, entertainment news of the day. It's all coming up in this bonus hour of the John and Heidi Show right here on Sunny 93.3.
You're listening to the John and Heidi Show. Now, featuring the wit and wisdom of Dan Farris.
Excuse me, haven't I seen you on the MTV?
On Sunny 93.3.
Sunny 93.3. Time now for manly men doing manly things in a manly fashion.
We're men among men and manly men, yes, manly men are we. We're men among manly men are we.
This is kind of a big deal. You may not ever need this in your life, but it's better to know how to do it and not need it than need it and not know how to do it. And I'm talking about tie a tourniquet.
Oh, yeah.
Tie a tourniquet.
That would be a good thing to know.
It is a great thing to know. Let's see, I've had 2 times in my life when I actually had to do this.
Really?
And
For
I'm
you
one of
or for
those
other people?
2 other people. One was a car wreck I came across. Another one was stupid Rex went through Lenny's sliding glass door at a house party one night.
Wow.
And he put his arms right through it. The glass was shattered.
Oh, my gosh.
I jumped up and immediately went, "Do not move, Rex," because the cuts happen when you pull your arm back.
Oh, my gosh.
And that's what he did. Started bleeding like a pig, and women are screaming, and everybody's throwing a big fit. I'm strangely calm in those situations.
Pulls his belt off and makes a tourniquet.
I made a tourniquet, man. I probably saved Rex's life, which
That's awesome.
I still question to this day. But I tend to fall apart after everything has been addressed.
Oh, my gosh, me too.
Then
It's
I'll go off
awful.
somewhere and just kind of,
Yeah.
shake, rattle, and roll.
Heidi.
But while it's going on, I'm pretty collected, yeah.
She does not do well when it comes to, like, our family. Our daughter had a little baby bottle that had, like, candy in it or something. And it was there was no...
Is this recent? Because she's 17 years old.
No,
John.
this was 10 years ago. She's
Okay.
probably 7.
All right. I need clarification for
But
this.
she took this baby bottle. We're watching Back to the Future. We're just sitting in the living room watching TV, and all of a sudden Taylor leaves. I thought she was going to get water or whatever. She took this baby bottle and took a knife out of the drawer, and she's like holding the bottle in her hand and jabbing it with the knife. Well, then she slips and stabs her hand with the knife. And she starts bleeding. And then when she's shaking her hand around, there's blood flying everywhere. And I thought Heidi was going to pass out. We had to It was not that bad of a cut. It was like
It
a
was
little
bleeding
poke.
like crazy, though.
But because she was waving it around and there's blood splattered all over her and the walls and everything, it looked like a murder scene.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, luckily everything was fine. But Heidi did not
I did
do
not
well.
do well. I thought I was going to pass out. If it's my kids, I can't handle it. That's
Kids a little different, isn't it?
Yeah,
a little more personal.
That's awful. Yeah.
So,
I did not do a tourniquet
thing,
that day, though.
Study it, figure it out. A lot of bad stuff happens if you tie that tourniquet too tight. You will cut off the blood supply. So there is a science and an art to it. So I'm just
tight,
saying.
but not too tight.
Exactly.
All right. Well, good to
so
know.
Just start
I'm gonna have to
ripping sheets and cutting stuff up and.
Gonna have to get a YouTube video on that. Check it out.
Hey, trap some squirrels. Practice on them.
Don't do that. Just do not listen to his advice. Coming up, we've got water
one
cooler
of the ducks
talk.
you knocked unconscious with a rock.
No,
Rocks and ducks.
you're gonna have to post a thing on our page explaining to people.
No one said I was here to be a role model, guys.
Yeah.
That's not what I do.
Do what Dan tells you to do. All right, water cooler talk on the way. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show bonus hour with Dan Farris on Sunny 93.3.
We're men among manly men are we. Come on, men, let's kill it. What are we, women?
You're listening to the John and Heidi Show, now featuring the wit and wisdom of Dan Farris
You heard it on your Walkman radio?
on Sunny 93.3.
Sunny 93.3. Time now for water cooler talk, brought to you by Aqua One. What are we going to talk about now, Dan?
The only reason I bring this up is I've seen it on 3 different sources now in the past couple days.
Okay.
There's a new Casey's General Store going up in Sioux Falls.
Where's that one going?
Well, exactly, right?
'Cause they opened one on the far west side of town, which I didn't know until we stumbled
This is
upon
going to
it.
be up by Dolly Farms.
Oh, nice.
Dolly Farms, which is the west side of town,
Yeah.
southwest
Okay.
side of town. But in all 3 sources I've seen in the past couple days, the headline, you can see it right here. I'm getting this from the Argus Leader. New Casey's to open near Rosa Parks Elementary.
Oh.
So apparently that's important. And all I could think was, because I hadn't had time to read the story, I just read the headline, New Casey's to open near Rosa Parks Elementary. I'm like, sweet. Those little kids finally have easy access to beer, smokes, and gas station
There
pizza.
you go.
You just stop.
Well, that's how I took it.
Okay.
That's how I took it.
No, they have easy access to good pizza. I love Casey's Pizza.
Oh,
That
Casey's
is-
has the best pizza.
Here we
They
go.
really do have the best pizza.
When we lived in Iowa, here's the thing I discovered. I didn't know this. There's a franchise called Bradeau Pizza, and it tasted so much like Casey's. And then I found out that that's what it was. It was the same stuff. It's like they use the same ingredients. So
Well, they have to.
yeah.
That's all. There's only so many ingredients for pizza, John. You can call it what you want. Do you know there are over 2,000 Casey's locations
Oh, yeah.
in 15 states?
I didn't.
Uh-huh.
I had
There's
no
a lot
idea.
of them. I bet there's 10 of them at least in this area. At least. Because you get to like Harrisburg, they've got a Casey's there, and they've got
Is
a
it by
Casey's
the
in-
elementary school, though? Because
It
that's
probably
a thing.
is.
Okay,
And it's
well,
in,
That's
there's
really
one in
important.
Brandon, just up the street from the elementary school. I'm
when
starting to see a pattern here.
When I was 9,
There's one in,
if I could crack my own deck of Luckies and head uptown,
which
we were styling.
there's also one in T, not too far from the school. They're kind of all over by the schools.
John
Oh.
keeps trying to change the subject.
Trying to think if there's any other. Any
You see
other.
those 10-year-olds? 10-year-olds passing a 40?
Would you just stop?
There's Casey's right there.
I think that it's just because there's a lot of people in the areas. I don't think it has anything to do with them trying to sell anything to underage kids.
John is just drowning over it.
I worked with the people at Casey's Corporate. They're wonderful people, and I hope their attorneys don't call us because
Let's go back to the beginning. Just
It's all good.
A few months ago when you guys said, hey, would you like to join the morning show?
Yeah.
First thing I said was, this is the biggest lapse in judgment you two have ever had. And here we are.
and I remember saying, no, that's a great idea. I'm going to debate John of the past.
Well, congrats on Casey's, your expansion. Great company. And,
I think so, too.
Yeah, there you go.
They're great people, and they have great pizza. And
And
yeah,
the parents dropping the kids off at school.
now they'll be able to grab a pizza on the way home.
And beer and smokes.
And fill up the car with gas. See, it's so convenient. All right, water cooler talk brought to you by Aqua One. We have entertainment news of the day on the way on Sunny 93.3.
You're listening to the John and Heidi Show, now featuring the wit and wisdom of Dan Farris
What is that thing you're doing?
It's technical. It's one of our little toys.
on Sunny 93.3.
Sunny 93.3. Time now for entertainment news of the day with Mr. Dan Farris.
It's Keith Richards has been
Yeah.
just an icon of mine forever.
He's a Rolling Stone.
The most amazing rock and roll band probably in the history of rock and roll bands. His biggest claim to fame, along with being one of the premier rock and roll guitarists and one of the greatest bands of all time, is Keith has tended to party over the years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Heavy duty. The big story coming out for 2019, he says he's reeling it in and slowing it down.
No kidding.
Well, he's like 312 years
No.
old.
He's really not. He's actually 75. He just had his 75th birthday. He just looks
Really?
127.
He looks a lot older because he's lived a rough lifestyle.
But he's healthy as heck. And he has said he's kind of given up the hard liquor, still has a beer now and then, a couple glasses of wine with dinner. Still smokes, but not quite as much.
Okay.
And he said, going into the new year, through the holidays, he said things got pretty cranked up. Then celebrated for a month for his 75th birthday.
I wonder what cranked up is like for somebody like him.
Exactly. If he's saying it's cranked
'Cause
up, I
for
bet
me,
it was.
Cranked up is, Saturday night when I stay up late and we go to Burnside Bingo and I'm up till like midnight. That's cranked up for me. But for him, got a feeling that's a whole different level.
He can tie a couple days together still and keep rocking and rolling. So, he's slowing it down a little bit. And I love this. The person conducting the interview was asking him if he does anything special because he's still in relatively, pretty darn good shape.
Yeah.
And he said, nothing really major. And this is a direct quote. Keith Richards, when asked about his workout regimen, quote, I get up, and then, I sit down. I don't do none of this trotting around. I think it's probably bad for you. I mean, it's bad for the joints, right? It's like, I get up, and then I sit down.
All right. That's pretty much my workout routine as well, but it's not working out for me.
So, Keith Richards, I had the privilege, I've seen him a couple times. Last time I saw him was in 1989, the Steel Wheels Tour, and I remember sitting there, and they put on a heck of a show, but I remember sitting there going, this has got to be their last tour. That was 1989.
Yeah.
It's got to be it for them, man. They're getting up there.
No way.
No.
35 years later.
Still rocking and rolling.
Isn't that crazy?
Fantastic.
Well, I had a chance to do an interview with a local musician here, Myron Lee.
Oh,
Super
sure.
nice
I've known
dude.
Myron for years. Yeah.
And there was a show that they did with the Rolling Stones way back in the 60s.
Myron Lee and the Caddies. They were a big deal back in the 60s.
And he tells a story. And if you get a chance, I'll throw a link to the podcast. It was for Sioux Falls Connected. We do a little podcast with them. Super nice folks. But we did this podcast, and he tells a story. At the very end, we do the whole thing, and then we're done. And he starts telling this story, and I thought, well, I'm going to click record because this is, I think, better than everything else we just talked about. He talks about how they opened for the Rolling Stones before everybody really knew who the Rolling Stones were. And they thought that the Rolling Stones were kind of snobs. They weren't like talking to anybody. So then years later, they find out that the Rolling Stones remembered who they were, and they were like in awe of his band. So it was kind of exactly the opposite of what they were expecting it to be. So I thought that was really cool. I've got a link to that on our Facebook page.
Yeah, and the Stones do have tour dates in America for this year.
Nice. I've not been. I'll have to go check that out. That'd be really cool.
They are something.
Well, Dan, thank you for our entertainment news, sir.
You betcha, because celebrities are fabulous.
Speaking of fabulous, we've got Tuesdays with Charlie coming up. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show bonus hour with Dan Farris on Sunny 93.3.
You're listening to the John and Heidi Show, now with an extra hour of fun, featuring the wit and wisdom of Dan Farris on Sunny 93.3.